Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the COWGIRL Closet Podcast. I'm your host, Addy Ford. The COWGIRL Closet Podcast is a worldwide branch production brought to you in part by Mule Alley. Legendary brands and trailblazing trends. Find your style on Mule Alley in the stockyards. I also want to say a huge thank you to our friends at AB Lino in downtown Fort Worth who help everyone wear their story. Today is super exciting. We get to sit down with Miss Julia and hear about all the crazy things she does. She's an amazing young lady, and I can't wait for y'all to get to know her a little better. Julia, welcome to the COWGIRL Closet Podcast. I'm so excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be on.
Yeah. So for anyone that's watching who might not know you, how do you describe what you do in the Western world?
Yeah, I love that question because it's a little bit of everything what my day-to-day looks like. But I always love to say that I'm a storyteller at heart. I love to tell stories and share people's stories and connect them with others. And so my day-to-day looks a little bit different. I write for the Cowboy Channel, COWGIRL Magazine. I help produce the Bob Feist Invitational Team Roping Cody Johnson Championship event. And I also lead the communications efforts at the International Professional Rodeo Association. So it's a little bit of everything all over the place, but I always love to bring people together and share stories of the Western industry.
Yeah. So have you always known that you wanted to be a storyteller and like write and do all the things, or did that kind of come as you got older?
You know, it's funny, a little bit of yes and no. I grew up always loving to read and write. I grew up loving the outdoors. I grew up competing in rodeos and always on the back of a horse. And so I kind of knew that those were my passions, but it really didn't occur to me that this is what I really wanted to do with my career and that it was my passion until I was about a senior in high school. I always thought I wanted to be a large animal vet until I realized that, I'm really not all that great at math and science. And I love to read and write and talk to people. And it kind of just hit me. And my parents were like, well, why don't you check out the ag communications and journalism route? And kind of the rest is history from there. But it kind of has been a natural progression, I feel like, looking back throughout my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you went into college knowing that that's what you wanted to do?
I did, yes. Yeah. I went into college. I kind of based my college choice based off of colleges that had really great ag communications programs, and the University of Idaho stuck out and kind of was where I landed, but always knew that I wanted to be in some realm of sharing stories in agriculture, promoting the lifestyle, and really bringing new awareness to the sport and the people in it.
Yeah, that actually feeds into my next question really well. I was just going to ask, have you always known that you wanted to work in the Western industry, or did you think, no,
Honestly, yes and no. Like I said, I always grew up in the industry, always knew it would be a dream to be in the industry, but I also was very realistic of I hope that one day I could get to share stories and talk to people that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, whatever God has in store is where I'll go with it. But I'm really fortunate that it kind of has worked out the way I did. And when doors started opening throughout my freshman year of college, it was kind of like, wow, I really can make this passion and this fun thing a lifestyle and a career. And so it's really been a dream come true. And I always say that kind of ever since it started happening.
Yeah. And it's good to coming into it because you do have that background knowledge. So that's awesome. You went all the way to the University of Idaho and you're in Fort Worth now. What led you to go to school there, and how did that experience shape your path?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because not many Texans know about the Vandals, but I am a proud through and through University of Idaho Vandal, up in a little tiny college town in Moscow, Idaho. I grew up actually in Reno, Nevada, but like I said earlier, I wanted to go somewhere with a really good ag college and really just fell in love with the campus, the community. And it's funny how things all work out because I met some of my very best friends and was really involved on campus and grew so much personally through our sorority and the Idaho Cattle Association and the opportunities with our college as a student editor. There's a lot of different things that really kind of led me to where I am today. And I also am so grateful for our staff members and faculty that were so supportive of me taking these internships and traveling down to Texas while I was in college. And it kind of was a natural progression. I had a online internship with the World Champions Rodeo Alliance remotely. And then as soon as I graduated, was offered a full-time position. And so my dad and I, we loaded up our car, drove 24 hours and across the country. And now I call Fort Worth home. And I've been here for about a year and a half now. So crazy, but
That was actually my next question. You literally packed up right after you graduated 2 weeks and moved to Texas. Have you always seen yourself here? Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that story coming down here with your dad and how all that kind of came to be?
Oh, it was so surreal. It was something that it was definitely kind of a pinch me moment to be like, wow, this is really actually happening. And, you drive that far away to being like, wow, this is really what I'm doing with my life. And
you're so young, like that's crazy.
It was crazy, but it was definitely kind of a leap of faith. And I was like, I felt like this is kind of where I was supposed to be in the next part of my journey. And it's been such a blessing to get to do it. And I'm really grateful to have such amazing family and friends back home that have supported me. But it definitely was a whirlwind to come down here. No doubt. But I really I always felt like I wanted to live in Texas, though, at some point. I thought about coming to school down here, always was fascinated by just the lifestyle and the culture of Texas and of Fort Worth. And so it's kind of a dream come true to get to live out my Fort Worth dreams.
Wait, that's awesome. Yeah, and you definitely look like a Fort Worth girl, but I'm sure that was terrifying, because like you were so young and you were growing up really fast. And I mean, I think that story is really inspiring, especially for girls who might still be in college and might not know what they want to do. Like, you saying that you took a leap of faith, that's awesome, and I love that story.
Oh, thank you. It definitely was something that I really felt like, if it's meant to be, it'll all work out, and things just kind of doors kept opening. I kept being like saying yes to things, and I was like, wow, this is really, really happening. But I always tell other folks that I'm like, you just have to take that leap of faith and say yes, because you never know where it'll lead you.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I'm here with you doing this podcast, and so you never know.
You never know.
It's a fun adventure.
Yeah. So between journalism, marketing, and your role as a director of communications for the IPRA, you wear a lot of hats. What ties all those roles together for you?
No pun intended. I always love a good cowgirl hat, so shout out. I think my love for storytelling really does tie all of those different roles together, and it's really fun to get to be involved in journalism in so many different mediums. So whether it's, traditional media, writing articles, or talking to, or more of a PR role, talking to local news outlets, pitching storylines, promoting athletes, getting to be creative with my graphic design and, cutting together TikToks and making creative campaigns. It's really a little bit of everything. And I feel really fortunate that I've been able to explore so many different mediums and get to share that love of storytelling in kind of all aspects.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So you've covered everything from rodeos to red carpets. How do you see fashion playing a role in the Western storytelling?
I think that fashion is everything to storytelling. I think that it's a huge creative outlet, especially in the Western fashion space. I've always loved fashion, and I think it's such a bold form of self-expression and really a great way for someone to cultivate their own voice and brand identity. So like for me personally, I think about, having your own unique voice is so big as a writer and a storyteller. Yeah. And for me, I think fashion is kind of that way to outwardly express that. And so I've tried to kind of cultivate my fashion into who I am as a person and kind of how I want my voice to be portrayed. And it's kind of steered that direction. So I think anybody can kind of take trends or, what they really like about certain fashion designers and cultivate it to represent themselves and their own brand.
It's so fun because you can really do anything with fashion. Fashion does not have rules, and it's really fun to see people's like different styles because it does tell a lot about who that person is. So it's really fun. Do you usually like dress super Western in college? Did you dress super Western, or like tell us a little bit, I guess, about your style?
I feel like it took me a little bit to I feel like I'm still finding it, but I feel like it really took me a while to find my voice in fashion because I grew up always feeling like I had two different closets almost. I had my rodeo attire, and I loved to wear my boots and my jeans, but then also I went to, school in a big city where it wasn't cool to wear your boots to school, and I also loved all of the mainstream fashion things, so I had that set of closet things too. And so I feel like it wasn't until probably halfway through college that I felt myself kind of start to be able to merge those two trends and kind of find my own voice. And so now I feel like I really tie into things that make me feel like myself. And so I always love a good vintage staple. I love finding things that are current in mainstream fashion and finding ways to tie them into Western fashion. And I think I play into a little bit of both. Like I love a good pair of starched jeans with kitten heels. Or,
oh my gosh, girl, me too.
I love like a satin blazer with a nice felt. I think it's so fun to get to finally feel like I can combine both styles.
Yeah. So moving to Texas, do you think your style changed even more than it did in college?
Oh, absolutely. I love the Texas fashion scene, especially Fort Worth. I feel like it has so much charm and character and expression, its style. Like it's unlike anything else. And so I think that living in Fort Worth has really allowed me to further express, my girly side of getting to wear cute dresses and blazers, but also my kind of true cowgirl side of getting to wear boots everywhere. And it's you know, it's so fun. You go to a tailgate, you go to a football game, you go down the street, you can wear heels or boots.
And no one's going to look at you any different.
Exactly. You're going to be dressed up just the same. And that's what I love about Fort Worth.
Yeah, I love it too. And it's fun too because one day, like kind of what you were saying, you're going to wake up and want to put on kitten heels or boots and no one's going to say anything. So when you're attending an event or covering a rodeo, how do you decide what to wear?
Oh, that's such a tough question because I feel like I always want to stay true to kind of my personal style and identity. And so like I'm always looking for pieces that are going to feel like me. And but I also feel like I have to find things that are maybe a little bit more practical because, you know, I will be on my feet, you know, 12, 14 hours a day running around crazy. And so sadly, heels are normally out of play for that. But I love a good pair of comfy boots, a nice button down, a good blazer. I really am a sucker for vintage pieces. So really the majority of the things that I own are going to be from vintage collections. And I love a good vintage designer blazer. Like that's my go-to for work.
I was going to say that ties into my next question. You're really good at this. Is there a particular accessory or piece of clothing that always makes you feel most confident?
Ooh,
a staple piece.
I think that right now, I feel like for me, my most sentimental and the thing that makes me feel most confident, I'm wearing my grandma's vintage watch right here that she.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's real dainty and it doesn't work, but it keeps me with, it keeps her with me and kind of brings me a sense of confidence and peace and really ties my outfits together. And I just love the stack jewelry vibe. So I'd say that's normally, that's my go-to right now.
I was looking at your stack. It's super cute. And I'm such a gold girl.
Oh, I am too. And you can never have enough jewelry. I'm like, you can layer more and more on it.
I think jewelry too, like can make or break an outfit. Like you can have a super plain outfit and throw on a lot of jewelry and it's going to be so cute.
Oh, absolutely. I think you can accessorize it anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can take it any direction.
So Western fashion often balances tradition with new trends. How do you find that balance for yourself?
I think that I love that question because I think that it's something that I kind of go back and forth with depending on the event and maybe, you know, what I'm doing there, kind of what I'm feeling for that day or even the location geographically. You know, if you're going somewhere like Pendleton, Oregon, for example, I feel like it's so traditional there that I tend to lean into more of my vintage pieces. And, you know, same thing, like I went down to Round Top, Texas for the show down there last weekend. Like if I'm going somewhere like that, I really want to lean into my more traditional, authentic kind of cowgirl self. But getting to be somewhere, say, like Vegas or Dallas or Fort Worth, you can kind of lean into that more trendy side of things and bring in those things that you'll see more off of the runway and bring those in too.
Yeah. And that's the really cool thing about here and Vegas. So
no, absolutely. Yeah. Two of my favorite places to style for.
Okay, well then you're gonna have to help me for the NFR.
You're the one with the fashion knowledge. I'm gonna be calling you. Right. I'm gonna be like, so what do I do?
Wait, so are you going?
I am. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can definitely talk and stuff before. It's gonna be my first time there, so obviously I'm like stressing.
Oh, you're gonna love it though. It's so much fun. I think this will be my 5th year going down for work related things, and so I'm excited. And the fashion, you're gonna love it. It's so much fun.
So how many times have you been to the NFR?
So I think I've gone, this will be my 5th year going for more work-related things on my own, but growing up in Reno, we're about 8 hours north of Vegas, and I have a lot of family from Vegas, and so I got to go to my very first NFR when I was about 11 years old. It was my parents' Christmas present to me, and like one of the most memorable experiences ever. I'll never forget sitting in the Thomas and Mack for the first time and cheering on the barrel racers. It was my favorite thing to do, and that was such like a core memory for me, and I think that's really where my love affair for the sport really began.
Yeah. Wait. Aw. So now that you're older and do you really dive deep into the fashion like aspect of things at the NFR?
I do. I love seeing the trends year to year, and especially with my role with COWGIRL Magazine, you know, I'm always looking for what's coming up next and what folks are wearing and kind of getting to see those trends all merge together. And I think one of my favorite things about fashion trends in Western fashion as a whole is that everybody is so unique and strong in their styles that you could take one mainstream trend and 10 really fashionable girls could take it 10 different directions.
100%. And like, it's so fun.
It's so fun. Like I love it. Like this year, like we've been talking a lot about like suede being in for fall. And I like for myself, like I went more like the, I guess like street, city, classy kind of look. And then other folks lean more into like the rustic side. And you've got the suede and the fringe and all of the layers and the leather. And there's just so many fun ways to take each trend. So I love seeing how everybody shows up in Vegas for fashion.
Are you like starting to plan your outfits already?
I am. I was just thinking about that the other day, actually. I've got a few things, I really try to base a lot of my looks off of, one, what's going to be realistic and comfortable, especially normally I'm running 15-hour days and don't really have much time to change or get as dolled up as I'd like normally, but I try to pick a few staple pieces and build outfits around there. And so this year I've got some really fun fur coats that I'm really excited to bring out, some other fun vintage pieces. I need
pieces. A fur coat so bad.
They are my favorites.
Yeah, they're just expensive, and I'm just not ready to spend a lot of money on one, but I need one because I don't have one at all.
They're hard to wear down here in Texas.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Like, I was looking at the weather this morning, and Texas is so crazy. I woke up, and it was like 50 degrees, and the high is going to be, 95?
I know. I'm like, I don't know how to dress in the fall here.
Yeah, It's crazy. Anyways, back on track. You've been around so many creative people in this industry. How has that community influenced your own approach to style?
Oh, it's been huge. I feel like there's like we were talking about earlier, I feel like fashion is such a creative outlet for so many folks, and I feel so lucky to be around so many different creatives because I'm constantly inspired and constantly taking notes. And especially like going down to Round Top last weekend, the fashion was incredible. I don't know if you've ever been, but I could not recommend it enough for the fashion alone. There were so many different unique vintage pieces. And yes, it was so fun. And like the way everybody was styling all of these just really, really fun statement pieces, I was taking so many notes. And so I feel like you can never stop learning when you're around so many creatives. It's always so inspiring.
For sure. Yeah. And you can be inspired and find, something that you would probably never think to put on or throw together and see someone wearing it. And then that's going to change, the way that you want to style an outfit. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think your job is just so cool because you do get to see a lot, and that's just so fun.
Oh, thank you. I feel quite lucky. It's fun.
What brands or small Western businesses are you loving right now that really capture the authentic feel?
Ooh, that's so hard to pick just a few. I, like myself, I'm so partial to vintage looks that the majority of things in my closet aren't really name brand necessarily, but
I think that's a great thing though.
I'm such a sentimental person too that I love the stories behind all of them too. So if I can, tie a piece back to, okay, I found this at an antique store here, or it was worn by so-and-so. Like I love things like that. But when I'm looking, especially more so from my job perspective, we're always following, I feel like Double D, their designers there do such a phenomenal job of tying in trends and colors and making things into true art statements. There's so many great boot designers too that are doing the same. It's so fun to see just the artwork come out in clothing these days.
So we kind of touched on this just a little bit with your grandmother's watch. But if we were to look inside your closet, what's one piece that tells a story or holds special meaning to you?
Ooh, okay, I'm going to tie it back to the furs because one of my favorite vintage finds actually was a 1950s era mink fur shawl that I found in a little teeny antique store, the most eclectic store you'd ever see in Truckee, California. And it was a find just kind of out of thin air. Sometimes I feel like the fashion pieces, they're called to you and you find them. And that was one of them for me. And I got to wear it at the 30 Under 30 Gala this year. And it's something that I'll probably be rocking again in Vegas. And it's something that I'll have with me forever. Yeah. I also talking about how expensive, I found a really good deal on it too. So that's the best.
It's like a steal.
That's
whenever I can find like something super cute for a good deal, I'm like, I can't say no.
You can't, no. And it's a story for sure. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you mentioned the 30 Under 30. You were actually named a Cowgirl 30 Under 30 honoree for 2025. How did it feel to receive that recognition?
Oh my gosh, that was so surreal. Like still, even if I think about it, I have to pinch myself. I'm like, was that actually all real? Because it was something that from the moment that I stepped foot into industry, there was so many amazing women that I looked up to that had so many positive attributes, not even just in things that they've accomplished in their career, but how they carried themselves and how welcoming they were to others and how hardworking they were, that really made me look up to them. And they all were recipients of this award. And so it kind of put it in the back of my mind that I was like, wow, how cool would it be one day to be included amongst those ladies in a room with them. Yeah. And I definitely did not think that it was going to happen at the age 23. I was like, I still have a few more years until I'm 30, but it was so surreal and such a blessing. And it's just the most fun week celebrating. My family came down for it. There's so many great brands that partnered. We got to do so much fun shopping. really, really a full, phenomenal week, and so grateful for COWGIRL Magazine and all of the partners that made that possible. And now to be an alumni as part of it, it's so fun to get to welcome more people into the sisterhood and just get to grow with the cowgirls around us.
That's so amazing. Also, I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but you talk really well.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
So how, brain fart, my bad.
You're good.
Has that experience changed the way you view your role in the industry or how you represent yourself?
Absolutely. I feel like it was something that I always was striving for, but I felt like you know how sometimes you get imposter syndrome and you're like,
for sure.
I'm not quite there to, go up and say hi to that girl. I'm not quite, cool enough to do that. But I think that having that award, and it feels silly to say, but having those other people kind of say that about me really felt really surreal and really cool to give me that confidence to be able to walk into rooms, and also just a great way to connect with others and meet with others. And now it's so fun to, we all get Montana Silversmiths gives everyone custom bracelets that say that you're part of the class. And it's something that a lot of folks will wear, and you see it out and about and you're like, oh, hey, we're part of the same thing. And so it's really fun. We joke. I mean, I was in a sorority in college, but it's almost kind of like a second sorority experience to get to have that sisterhood. It's real fun.
You're going to really like the new Fort Worth Stockyards app. It's everything you need right at your fingertips. See what's happening in real time, which means you'll never miss another cattle drive, happy hour, sidewalk sale, or your favorite band again. You can also use the app to buy show tickets, pay for parking, reserve a table, and even book a room. So saddle app, y'all. It's free, it's fun, it's the Stockyards. Download the app today at the Apple Store or Google Play.
So Julia, beyond fashion, storytelling seems to be at the heart of everything you do. What draws you most to that side of the work?
I think for me, especially in the Western industry, it really goes back to the history of it all and the tradition in it. And I love hearing about multi-generational stories, and really just, I think history is so important in really any aspect. It really frames how people get to where they are and kind of where things are going, whether you're looking at fashion trends or Western sports coverage or an athlete's storylines. I think that the root of it all is really kind of where they come from. And so being able to capture those stories is really fun. I also think I come from my uncle has a ranch. I come from a ranching background on that side of things. And I really have a deep appreciation for the agriculture side of things and where our food comes from and protecting those farmers and ranchers and sharing their stories. So I kind of feel like Western fashion and rodeo can sometimes be an outlet to bring new people into the sport and learn about where their food comes from and how we're supporting ranchers and taking care of them. And so I think that that's kind of my why behind why I love to tell stories.
Well, that actually just shocked me because I was not expecting you to say that. But I mean, it is so true. Wow. I got sidetracked.
No, you're good.
So when you sit down to write, how do you know when you found the story that needs to be told?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like for me, I feel like every writer goes through it. Sometimes you'll go through little writer's gaps of I don't know what to write, or I don't feel like this is a good storyline. I was going to ask, do you ever
get writer's blocks or anything?
Oh, for sure. I feel like there'll be times where it's like, man, why does this feel so hard to write 500 words, where some days I can, write 1,000 words in a half hour. It's like, where's this coming from? But I feel like I really try to, when I do get those blocks, I'll go out, I'll try to spend a lot of time outside. I'll go outside, I'll go on a run, just kind of reset myself. And I try to look at things from an outsider's perspective of what do I want the storyline to be? Is this newsworthy? Is it going to leave a positive impression on the audience? And trying to picture those kind of things, out of an entire interview, I'll kind of look at it and be like, okay, that was the line. That's what's going to drive audiences to it. That's what's going to really tell the story. So for example, I interviewed Darcy Kirsch last week. He won the Linderman Award for the PRCA. And right away he was like, I think this award is the most cowboy thing you could do. And to me, that was I was like, that's the line that we're going to go with, because it doesn't matter if you follow him or his background, or if you know what the Linderman Award is, you're like, wait, that's really cool. What does it mean to truly be an all-around cowboy? And so I kind of look for those storylines.
Wait, you're such a natural at this.
Oh,
seriously.
Thank you. That's so
Do you have to do a lot of research before you find someone to interview or anything like that?
I do. Yeah. I try to stay really, especially in Western sports, I spend a lot of time researching, what athletes are winning where, kind of what their trends look like, what horses they're on, how well they're performing, if they're battling an injury, things along those lines. I also do a lot of research especially when I'm writing more long form pieces. Like, for example, I did one on the history of the Pendleton Roundup. And so I did a lot of primary research looking through library archives and going through all these old newspaper clippings and stuff like that, that I spend a lot of time researching. So when it comes time to ask those questions and figure out what the storylines are, I kind of already have an idea of where I want that interview to go.
Yeah. So this is definitely something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life?
I do. I love it. You're
so good at it.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. No, I feel really lucky to get to be in it, and I love to get to connect with others. And like y'all hear that it's so fun to get to, no day's ever the same. And I love getting to connect with others and share their stories. So it's fun.
So you've been involved in major events like the Bob Feast Invitational. Did I say that right?
Bob Feist.
I'm glad I asked.
You're good.
You've been involved in major events like the Bob Feist Invitational and the World Championship Rodeo Alliance. What has been a true pinch me moment for you?
Oh, that's a good question.
You can talk about a couple too.
I feel like almost every event, it's like I'm getting a new pinch me moment of, it's just like everything gets so busy and it's so stressful and pressurizing that it's like when you get to take a moment to look back at it all and it's like, whoa, this is real life. We got to make an impact on these athletes. You got to see somebody win. You got to see their lives change. You got to put an entire event together. It's really, really fun and surreal to have those pinch me moments. I think the very first time that it kind of hit me was when it was back in 2021. I was an intern for the Cowboy Channel during the NFR. And it was after a really, really long week of being at the convention center and going to Thomas and Mack and helping do all types of things. And it was a lot of in-person activations of telling them about the Cowboy Channel.
Yeah.
And I got to sit down and watch the buckle ceremony and watch the world champions be crowned after the 10th round. And it was kind of my first chance to soak it all in and just kind of that holistic whole circle moment of like, whoa, this is real life. And also kind of going back to thinking about, my little 11-year-old self when I got to first sit in the Thomas and Mack seats. It was such a full circle moment of like, wow, this is real life. And I just feel so lucky. But no, I feel like those times will come a lot, and I feel really lucky. And another one was, when I walked across stage at the Cowgirl 30 under 30, and there's little ones along the way that, it's kind of, you don't even think about. Sometimes I'll see my byline somewhere or a press release that I'll write will go out into a news article, and it's just like, whoa.
Like, wow, I did
that. that's really crazy.
Yeah. Is there like a certain event or something that is just like your absolute favorite that you've ever been to?
Ooh, I'd have to. It's hard because I grew up going to the Reno rodeo, and so I want to say that one kind of feels like my hometown rodeo.
Yep.
Obviously, Vegas is so special. I love the BFI with the history of it too, but I've got to say the Pendleton Roundup. It's one of the most historic rodeos and one of the most prestigious, and it's just the storylines there are so rich, and the way that it happens at the end of the PRCA season, it's just so special there. And I've made so many incredible friends from that rodeo and so many amazing memories that one will forever and always hold a special place in my heart.
That's awesome. So as Director of Communications for the IPRA, what does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my role with them is fun because it's a little bit of kind of all different media aspects. And so one day it'll be more kind of research and planning based, where we're trying to look at how we can elevate our media campaign. Others will be planning for the IFYR and IFR that is coming up in January, and kind of planning our media. So we're looking at what influencers are we going to work with, what local outlets are we going to pitch to, and kind of doing more traditional PR things, writing press releases. And then the other side is always that creative social media side of promoting upcoming events and storylines, and who's, leading those leaderboard races, and what athletes are doing, where they're going, those sort of things. And so it's a little bit of everything, but it's really, really fun to get to be involved in all sectors of the media space.
I'm going to say, you're a busy girl. You kind of do it all, huh?
It keeps me busy, but it's a good type of busy. You know, I feel like when you're doing what you love, it makes it a lot easier.
So do you work a lot like with the social media stuff, or not really?
I do. Yeah. I primarily on the IPRA side of things, I oversee all of our social accounts there, but then like with COWGIRL Magazine, I'll help at special events, getting some event coverage for them and stuff too. And in the past, I've done more social media work, but I really found that my passion lies in more the true PR traditional media side of things.
Right.
So I try to shift my focus there when I can.
Yeah. So the IPRA has such a strong mission to grow rodeo's reach. How do you see media and communication helping that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been really fun with the growth of the IPRA because it's one of the oldest rodeo associations and has such strong roots in a lot of different storylines, whether you're looking at how athletes got their start or where they're from and all those kind of good things. And so we created a media campaign called In Our Roots last September that launched and kind of diving into those storylines. From since then, we've been able to connect with a lot of media outlets to get those storylines out there. And I think we're always trying to grow the awareness of the association and the athletes in it. And so that's kind of one of our biggest goals there is just trying to connect those athletes with those news outlets and driving more awareness to the association.
Cool. You also spend time mentoring students and young professionals. That's really cool. Why is that such an important part of your work?
I love any chance that I can to give back to those because I feel like I always accredit my mentors for all the success that I've been lucky enough to find. I always look up to, there's so many amazing women that I look up to that have really helped shape my career and taught me so much, not only about my career and what I'm doing hands-on, but also just how to be a strong leader and work hard and be a kind person. And so any chance that I can give back, I really try. And I feel it's that in itself is kind of a pinch me moment to think of myself as a mentor. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I love whenever like anybody reaches out to me on LinkedIn or I'm involved with a lot of our alumni groups through the university and our College of Ag, and any chance I can get to give back and be that friendly face in a room where it can sometimes feel intimidating and just lend any helping hand, I'm always about it.
Yeah. Do you like look at yourself now and kind of like, are you shocked that you are being a mentor and doing all these things to help young women at the age you are? Because I mean, you said you're what, 23?
23. Yeah.
You're doing a lot.
It definitely is kind of surreal for sure. I feel like everything happens in time, how it's all supposed to. And it's definitely a pinch me moment that I think, you know, if you would have told probably like 16-year-old me who looked up to all of these girls, I was like, wow, they're, you know, doing such amazing things. They're being so kind. And even to like 19-year-old me who started to get mentors in the Western industry, I think she'd be really shocked and really excited to see where she is now, and really very surreal to be able to give back and help others in the same fashion now.
Yeah, that's incredible. What advice would you give young women who are trying to break into the Western industry today?
I think something that has kind of steered me in a lot of ways, and something that a mentor actually said to me a few years ago, was always to say yes to every opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that there's a path for all of us and that doors will open when they're supposed to, but you have to say yes to put yourself out there and walk through those doors. And so while it might seem scary and, you know, you never know how it's going to lead, I think that there's a lesson in everything and a purpose in everything. And so sometimes you just have to say yes and go for it. And I guess that's how I'm here talking to you now.
Exactly. No, I'm the same way. I like to say yes and have a busy schedule, but seriously, one yes can lead to incredible things.
Oh, it's so crazy. I mean, I think back to my very first job in the Western industry. I was 19 years old, home for the summer, and cold called up the owners of the BFI and the week of the event, which it's a really large, prestigious team roping that's been going on for almost 50 years. And one that I grew up following as a fan and going to as a little girl. Yeah. And I just cold called them because I was like, well, it would be fun to work for them. I mean, that would be cool. And it so happened that I called the owner and she was like, yep, you can be here at 7:00 tomorrow morning.
You said, okay.
Like, yes, ma'am, you got it.
Absolutely.
And it's just kind of one of those things that it's like, it all works out how it's supposed to, but you can't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you can't be afraid of that rejection of, well, what if it doesn't work out?
Right. If you could go back and talk to your younger self before all of this craziness begun, what would you tell her?
I'd tell her that it's all going to be okay and it's all going to work out how it's supposed to. You know, I was somebody who I would get real caught up in my head and always stressing about, oh, am I doing enough? Is it all going to work out? You know, I'd be upset that I missed a calf at a high school rodeo, and I'd get so down on myself and so hard about things that it's like, I wish I could go back and be like, hey, it's all going to work out how it's supposed to, and just try and enjoy the present.
Right. Looking at the Western world now, what excites you most about its future?
I think that the Western industry, it looks so bright right now. You hear it all the time, but I really think there's never a better time to be a part of it. It's so cool to be cowboy. It's so cool to be cowgirl. Everybody wants to have a pair of boots and a hat and a belt, and it's so fun to invite new faces and, you know, new media platforms, celebrities, all of these great things, new fans to rodeos. We're seeing this huge growth right now, and so I think it's so important as ambassadors of agriculture and of the Western way of life to be inviting to those and be able to share with them, you know, the story behind why we wear a hat and the importance of the values of our lifestyle. And I think that it's so exciting. So many great things happening with added money in so many different levels of PRCA events, Women's Rodeo World Championships, you know, major team ropings happening everywhere. I really think that the best is yet to come for the industry. It's so exciting.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I kind of want to do some rapid fire questions. Are you good with that?
Okay. Yeah. Hit me with them.
All right. Favorite rodeo snack?
Ooh, it's definitely got to be sour gummy worms.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of random, but like if I'm going into a gas station, I'm getting like sour gummy worms and like an Alani or Celsius.
Definitely an Alani. Oh, yeah. Favorite cowboy hat brand or style?
Ooh, I might be partial, but I got to stay true to my Resistol, you know, Resistol Charlie One Horse. I love a good pecan brown felt, little classic cattleman's cut. You can't beat it.
Go-to outfit for a long event day?
I love a good pair of just like crisp starch jeans, a nice pair of boots, and a good like vintage blazer, good button down. It's harder to style in a Texas heat, but I'm going for the blazer, the wild rag look, and obviously some good jewelry to tie it all together too.
Love that. That would have been my answer. That's cute. I'm imagining it right now, actually. Dream interview or collaboration?
Ooh, that's a hard one because I think there's so many fun ones. A dream of mine would be definitely Trevor Brazil, though. I've always looked up to him, obviously for his rodeo accomplishments, but just the way that he carries himself and his demeanor and his family and the things that he's done outside of the arena. I would love to pick his brain on his success.
Yeah, awesome. Favorite story you've ever written?
Ooh, I think it would have to be one of my long-form print features for Western Horsemen. I wrote one on the history and the legacy of the Pendleton Roundup a few years ago. And it was so fun to get to do the research and hear the storylines and kind of get to see it all come together. And it was a long piece to write. It took almost a year to research. And it was almost 2 years out before it went to publication in print. And it was such a really, really fun experience to be part of.
Wait, yeah, that's awesome. Favorite Western brand right now?
Ooh, I'm going to have to say Double D. I love everything that they put out and just the craftsmanship behind it. It's so hard to find. I feel like that type of storytelling and craftsmanship in fashion these days, and they kill it always.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Julia, thank you so much for coming and being a co-host on this podcast. It's been amazing to get to sit down and learn a little bit more about you. So before we wrap up, where can people who are watching find you?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on. It's such a pleasure to get to hear your story too and talk to you more. And thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely.
For anybody looking to connect, my Instagram is Julia.Dondero. All normal spelling. I'm also always happy to connect on LinkedIn. And yeah, those are probably normally the best places. But seriously, anyway, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always looking to make new friends.
Hey, if you're looking for a mentor, she's your girl.
Oh.
Awesome. Well, Julia, again, thank you so much. And it was an honor to get to talk to you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Julia, once again, thank you so much. It was great to hear a little bit more about who you are and what you do. You're amazing. You're awesome. And I hope everybody else enjoyed talking with you as much as I did. Once again, this has been an amazing episode of the COWGIRL Closet Podcast. I'm your host, Addy Ford. The COWGIRL Closet Podcast is a worldwide branch production brought to you in part by Mule Alley. You can explore Mule Alley's curated collection of tastemakers, artisans, and trailblazers from anywhere. Simply download the free Fort Worth Stockyards app at the Apple Store or Google Play. We could not have done this episode without our friends here at AB Lino, who let us film in their beautiful custom clothing boutique in downtown Fort Worth. AB Lino, helping everyone wear their story. Once again, I'm your host, Addy Ford, and I will see you where the ranch meets the runway.